Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Willie Comic Book Roundup. We're about halfway through this week's roundup, so let's keep on trucking along with Captain America number 750. So, last we left off in Cap, with the Cold War crossover. Nomad Ian Rogers had opted to stay in Dimension Z as its ruler, and it seemed as though his, for lack of a better word, a better descriptor, parents, Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter, were going to stay there to see that yes, basically he's going to be able to do it right. So, this is an anniversary issue, obviously. We got a handful of stories. First one, A Cup of Tea. This focuses on Sam. It takes place several months ago, largely at the Trinity Church Cemetery in Harlem. Sam goes to visit his parents shortly after the events of United States of Captain America, having been given a new shield by Misty Knight. But he doesn't figure he's not going to be Cap. Even that, still, if he did take up the mantle again, he'd just be asked to give it to turn it over. But at the graves of his parents, Sam talks about this to their grave, and even says that he was enough without the shield. Would he be enough with it? But Misty goes into. He asks Misty why now, and she says because now is when she made it. With adding we also get some history of who made it. Obviously, Black Panther supplied the vibranium. Tony Stark molded the design. Thor used his hammer, and Misty used hers. Not just to show us everyone. Sharon, Pietro, Carol, Monica, even Luke Cage, and Natasha. Going through the list of everyone. They all said that Sam needs to do this. After this discussion, Misty's safe house is attacked. The safe house that Misty and Sam were at is attacked, and, well, he uses the shield to fend off the attackers, and informs his parents, back in the now portion, he informs his parents that, he's Captain America. He's taking on Captain America. He's taking on the mantle of Captain America. Next up, we've got Nothing But a Fight. During the recent during the Captain America Sentinel Liberty run, the original Destroyer sacrificed himself to thwart the plans of the Outer Circle, and so we get his funeral. Attended by various luminaries amongst the Golden Age heroes. And some of the modern heroes. Ghost Girl, Aaron Fisher from the Captain's Network, Jim Hammond, the Golden Age Human Torch, Pam from Radio Company, Namor, Wolverine, Carol Danvers, Peggy Carter, Nick Fury, Captain Wings, Silver Scorpion, Sharon Carter, who also, at one saying her piece, declares that she's taking on the Destroyer mantle. Cap reads a favorite poem of Roger Aubrey's, Destroyers. Afterwards, at the grave, Redacted comes to Steve and explains that he's been thinking, and they've decided that they wish to be an I instead of a we, and he'd like to travel, learn about the world, and find his place in it. And so, Steve passes on the name Nomad to the Redacted. After the service, Steve runs into Bucky. Watching from a distance, didn't feel he'd be welcome. Bucky confirms that Ian is no longer a part of the Outer Circle's plans, and some further additions are that Bucky is trying to basically say that he has a plan to bring down the Inner Circle, and being part of it is the only way to do so. But young man named Andrew Agboji comes to him, great grandson of Dr. Agboji, who designed Cap's shield. There was something that he wanted passed along. It's the blueprints for the Outer Circle's base. Bucky notes this and says, "Yeah, there have been some minor changes here and there, but by and large, yeah." There's a 30-inch wide circular nexus. That serves as a kill switch. And it seems that Steve and Bucky have managed to heal their friendship. Next we have a series of shorter tales. Reflections, The Hero, Then and Now, The Mantle, and One Lucky Shot. So Reflections is a story focused on Sam going over his history during while speaking to at an auditorium named in his honor. In part, talking about how he came to be an Avenger because, well, literally, basically he was made an Avenger to take a box. And while most of the team, like, yeah, if even more of that, he'd still be on the team, but he did leave the team. There were some members who were resentful, or at least former members. But he is, and over the years, he's been doing what he can to help those in need. And the story ends with him being called into action. Next up, we've got The Hero. This is a Steve Rogers story, dealing largely with his past, So it's known that when he was young, before becoming Captain America, Steve Rogers was, well, a sickly young man. In the movies, it was Bucky that usually stuck up for him. However, in the comics, it was someone else entirely. Arnie Roth. Upon being unfrozen, Steve did eventually find Arnie once again. Arnie was older, and he learned something about his old friend. Arnie was gay. That didn't bother Steve. His friend was happy. That was what was important. And as all non-super soldiers do, eventually, Arnie lost the battle with age. And the story is predicated on Steve saying some words at Arnie's grave and leaving a rock on top of it. Next up, we've got Then and Now. This really just focuses on Steve being told about, how things are when he first came out of the ice. War is still a thing that happens, but now phones without wires, and I mean, a computer you can fit in your pocket that with an immeasurable amount of with a massive amount of computing power. Men walking on the moon, but also seeing that acceptance is that the freedom, tolerance, and acceptance he fought for is widely evident. Wouldn't go that far, but sadly. But also, we see Cap coming back to Avengers Mansion one evening, again in the earlier days, and having his kind of chow, as he puts it, made for him by Jarvis. Then we've got the mantle, which basically a shield slinging contest between Sam and Steve. Oh, it's over dinner. And finally, one lucky shot. Young girl near Calliope Park sees what appears to be Captain America shot by a Hydra agent. As he falls, he drops his shield. She picks it up, shows it to her friends, and trying to figure out what they're going to do with it. But the Hydra agent that shot Cap wants it to prove he killed Cap. But killing Cap is easier said than done, and, well, Cap knocks the guy out and reclaims his shield. And makes them for new friends. And that is where the issue ends. I like this. I like the two primary stories were really good, and also the other tales were quite good. Then and Now, on the one hand, it's kind of nice, as when Avengers number 4 came out in 1964, there were so many things that weren't a thing that are now, and with Marvel's sliding time scale, you kind of have to. It's kind of nice to see those little retcons to the time scale of Steve Rogers, reacting to, oh, this is a thing that happened, or yeah, this is how things have advanced, and so forth. The storyline from Sentinel of Liberty will be apparently wrapped up with the upcoming Captain America finale one-shot, whereas Symbol of Truth will continue on as Symbol of Truth. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Captain Marvel Dark Tempest #1. Kicking off a new new Captain Marvel miniseries by Ann Nocenti. So it starts up in Harpswell Sound, which is around where Carol Danvers is from. The storm has blown it. Boat's gotten loose, so Carol goes out to, bring the boat back in. In New York, there's a man that's having severe headaches. He's going to burst or even detonate, detonate again. And he does so. But he's heard about a Luddite group and decides he's going to try and track them down. But while Carol was saving the boat, she got some calls. Jessica Drew is cat sitting Chewie. It's not going that well. There's Walt from a group called RAW. The Radical Astrophysicist Watchdogs, and a call from Tony Stark. But Robert gets in touch with the Luddite group and agrees to a meeting with their leader. Their leader states that all the superhumans, they're all really nanobots, and they're draining life force from people, and eventually they're just going to go nova and kill us all. But the Radical Astrophysicist Watchdogs have pinpointed something in deep space. So Carol has Tony take care of the Avengers whole situation while she goes into deep space to deal with the space thing. Potentially it's a black hole, but RAW does want a sample and photos, but suggests she not confront it. But the need for confrontation arises. Then, seemingly, that calmed it down a bit. She returns home. She returns back to Earth, though. And the man who we see a meeting between the leader of the Luddites, Nada, and their newest recruit, revealed to be none other than Nitro, the supervillain who destroyed Stamford, Connecticut. And he's made it clear he's only in if he gets to attack if he gets to destroy Carol Danvers. Carol is supposed to do a motivational speech at a teen center. Currently things aren't going as well, and there are three kids in the front that are rather critical of everything. Very much hey, world's doomed. Why bother even trying to fix things? However, during Carol's speech to them, where she's maybe starting to at least get through a little, a portal opens, courtesy of Nada, and Carol and the three kids are sucked in. Jessica Drew tries to stop it, but, it closes too quickly. And that is where the issue ends. Good start to the miniseries. I do have to wonder if, as this has the larger first issue type of corner box, if this miniseries will be continue to have the legacy numbering of previous Captain Marvel books. But yeah, so far interesting stuff. Nitro is just kind of a, really, Nitro? Can we just, whatever. Yeah, he's, at this point, he's a villain that's like, you kind of have to be shocked that he's still around. But yeah, moving on though to our next book, we've got Doctor Strange number 5. Where we left off, the good doctor and his wife had been invited to the wedding of Clea's mother, Umar, to Taboro, lower to the ceiling volcano, the spirit of decay. So the issue begins with the strangers looking rather shocked, before flashing back to that morning. Apparently, Doctor Strange may be a master of mystical arts, but tying a bow tie is not one of the mystical arts. And so he just opts to go without a tie. But hey, you know, the dialogue about a ways for a good replacement. And so the strangers arrive at the wedding. Taboro is a jackass. Umar, Clea and her mother speak briefly, but it turns out that basically Umar knows with the recent assassination of Agamon that someone's killing the mystical warlords, and well, that if that assassin should come to her, she hopes that perhaps being wed to Tibero will have someone that can get between her and the assassin. Also, she's pregnant. Well, pregnant would involve actually carrying the child. She's made a mystical womb for her and Tibero's child, which is gestating it and such. The ceremony is performed by the Dread Dormammu, Clea's uncle, Umar's brother. And Strange, upon hearing during the ceremony, asks a very good question to Clea. Would it be an open bar, do you think? I mean, hey, can't blame the guy there. But an attack occurs. Children. Similar to ones faced earlier in the series by Strange and Clea. But the mastermind behind the attack is revealed to be General Stephen Strange. And that is where the issue ends. Okay. Now, to be fair, it's rare that a wedding in the super communities does not end in at least some kind of battle. There have been some, don't get me wrong, but, you know, so fairly standard fare. But I think we now know who killed Agamon. General Strange. But, yeah, McKay's Doctor Strange is continuing to be a sheer delight to read. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got this year's Thor Annual. There are no plot points to wrap up, apparently, from the recently completed Thor ongoing. But this will also feature a prologue to the Immortal Thor. So, the main story is Mythos. Something has gone wrong. Something so bad that it causes Sif's eyes to bleed. Thor charges into battle on Midgard. When he arrives, Midgard has changed. He detects no presence at all of his allies, the Avengers. There's a giant crystalline, rainbow-hued crystalline palace, which Thor storms, is the home of Mythos. It's it's MODOK, and he collected the shards of the Rainbow Bridge and gave himself power over creation. Thor and Mythos fight briefly, and Mythos kind of hands Thor his ass. And while Thor yearns for a rematch, he needs to learn more. Doing some scouting, he comes upon a young man in glasses defending a neighbor from a mugger with a knife. That young man is Peter Parker, though Peter has absolutely no memory whatsoever, even knowing Thor. But Peter takes Thor to his hovel and basically explains how things work. And Thor states that though Peter will not remember this, but when next they meet, Peter will have earned a visit to the hot springs of heaven. But Peter also imparts some wisdom to Thor that, the battles most worth fighting are the ones you can't win. But Thor returns to the palace and defeats Mythos, returning him to being just MODOK, and returning the world to its natural state, its normal state. The 10 realms are as they should be once again, and Sif asks, why let MODOK live? But the idea being that perhaps MODOK can see himself as he is, perhaps he can begin to find the answers that have eluded him, as Thor has found his. As for our preview of Immortal Thor, so since I believe it was the God of Hammers story, Mjolnir was shattered, held together in gold that briefly held the soul of the essence of the Allfather. But Thor uses the All Power to reforge Mjolnir as fixing the damage, and Sif remarks that it seems lighter in his hands than before. She also noted that he was wearing his older costume. But this prologue ends with Thor battered and bloody, Mjolnir in one hand, the hammer of Ultimate Thor in the other. I was already planning on getting Immortal Thor, but go ahead, sell me on it more. But yeah, good. The primary story was great. I loved it, especially basically an altered reality version of Peter Parker imparting wisdom to Thor, and Thor does. It reminds me also of something that was said in War of the Realms about how Spider-Man is the most Midgard is the most Midgard of all Midgard. The one resident of Midgard who is the most Midgard as far as Thor is concerned. Moving on though to our last book for the moment, we've got Peacemaker Tries Hard, number 3. Where we left off, Peacemaker had been betrayed by Monsieur Mala and the Brain. I know, just shocked. I was shocked at that too. Mala and the Brain betraying Peacemaker? Say it ain't so. And Brain intends to keep Peacemaker's dog, Bruce Wayne. So open with a flashback. Young Christopher Smith comes home after being beaten up. He asks his dad for help, but Daddy doesn't want to help. Near General Mortis's under construction base is a bar, which Taskmaster stops into. He's looking pretty banged up. He he tells the bartender everything that's happened to him. But some of the patrons of the bar are, and also he's starting to get the idea that maybe he's not that well liked by all that likable. But some of the patrons of the bar don't take kindly to his presence. They no supervillains are allowed there. But Peacemaker points out he's not a supervillain; he's a superhero. So it's pointed out, why did he want the ladies' room? And he explains that figured it was highly unlikely there would be a woman in the bar, and if there was, they probably wouldn't be in the ladies' room. And well, he needed a tampon to stop his bleeding. But he does have a bit of an emotional revelation moment when the demolition team shows up. And Delmont, the patron that tried to get Peacemaker to leave, tells him the same thing. No supervillains allowed, and well, yeah, he gets knocked to the next century. Peacemaker dukes it out with him again, though. Once again, coming out on top. But Chris is he's going to save his dog. He invites the bartender to his party that weekend, but she explains she has enough weirdness in her life to contend with as is. And well, Peacemaker can respect that. Upon arriving home, Peacemaker's PO pops up. He crossed state lines, so he's got to take Peacemaker into custody for Amanda Waller. And the old hippie manages to kind of hand Peacemaker's ass. But Peacemaker explains what's going on. And, well, Richard, his PO, is just like, okay, fine, I'll help you get your dog back. And also reveals that he used to be a superhero back in the Golden Age. The Red Bee. The well-trained, and his main thing was he had a well-trained bee, but he's often to help Peacemaker rescue his dog. And so that is where the issue ends. We also get a look at when Red Bee was when Richard was tasked with being Chris's PO, and well, yeah, Waller doesn't exactly hold Peacemaker the highest of regards. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Huge shout out to Patreon patron Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your support. Links to, well, actually, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.